So hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. As of late, Danny Sullivan has offered some advice on what type of content or what content Google will find helpful. So after the recent helpful content update, a lot of websites have gone down. A lot of websites have lost rankings. They've disappeared off search. But there was someone that had asked Danny Sullivan on Twitter or X, as it's called, why their website is not doing so well and why it keeps dropping out of index every now and then. Now, I'll get into why that's actually the case, but Danny Sullivan has decided to offer some advice. I'll go through the advice in this video, then I'll go and tell you why this advice is not great advice, and at the end of the video, I'll show you why a website that doesn't follow a single thing that Google Search Liaisons and Google says that you should follows still ranks on the top of Google search. And there are many websites like it. I find these websites every day, and I think I'm going to put them on this video every now and then just to show you guys that you don't need to follow Google's best practices to rank number one on Google. It's just the reality of the thing. And also a lot of Google's search liaisons don't really understand how the algorithm works. So let's jump into this video. All right, so what I've done here is I've put all the advice that he has given on screen so that you can read through the advice that he's provided. In a nutshell, what he's saying is that the products that this person has asked about is actually going to be available in the future. So him talking about it right now means that the articles or the content about those products are out of date. And so because they're out of date, they're also in the wrong section, which is my assumption. He didn't say it's in the wrong section, but it's not there. It's not where it's supposed to be. So there's two types of outdates from what I can gather that what Danny Sullivan is saying. So the first type of outdate is obviously that the content that you have is old. Your content was published in 2021, and since 2021, there have been a lot of changes made to technology or a lot of changes made in that industry, then your content is out of date in 2024. But if your content was published, yesterday, then it's not out of date. The second type of outdate, I think, based on what he's saying, is that, if your content, it talks about a product that's going to be launched in October of 2024, but it's January or it's February of 2024, then it means, again, that your article is out of date because users are having a bad experience. They're coming on, they're reading about a product that's not available. Technically, he's right, because these types of articles will go into the upcoming product section, the news section, that kind of section if you're running a tech blog. In their case, also what Danny is hinting at is that they're trying to game the Google algorithm by posting the present date on the articles. Now, and so this does happen. But this is not really the case why your website drops in and out of index. Remember, this guy asked, why are my articles showing up in the first place? Then after a while, they just disappear. He's not asking, why they're not doing so well. So there's a case to be made if the articles are not doing so well. So they rank well, then they drop in rankings. They don't get maybe as much traffic, as much clicks. Google doesn't see them as being very helpful. Eventually, after a while, they gradually drop out. And if you look at the graph that he posted, I'll put this on the screen, you'll see they do pretty okay and then they drop. And this is something that a lot of people are experiencing, which is something I think is worth getting into. The first reason is that Google has a bug. And this is a bug that Google has claimed to have fixed. Google has said they have fixed, but it's not been fixed. There is absolutely no reason why an article or a bunch of articles or a bunch of pages are doing pretty well in one instance will suddenly drop off Google. There's actually no explanation for that. Google has not been able to provide an explanation for that. Danny Sullivan doesn't know exactly why that's going on, and so he's offering this type of advice. The problem with this type of advice is it's cookie cutter. It doesn't go into how Google looks at helpful content, how Google measures helpful content. Trust me, Google doesn't know that the ROG Ally will be launched in October or November or if this is out of date. Google doesn't know that. Google's algorithm is now looking at that. And so by answering the question the way he did, he's not really being helpful. So Danny Sullivan's own post about helpful content, about trying to help someone, is not really helpful. In the SEO industry, we deal with this every day. I work with clients whose websites drop off index and then come back on and they drop off index on a fairly regular basis. And I can tell you it's not because of the content being bad. It's either, most cases, that the content is not properly structured. There's a technical problem with the website. There's a technical problem with the pages. There's a plugin that's causing a conflict. And many times it's just Google's bug. There's a bug with Google, which Google hasn't fixed. And so there are literally loads of people that are complaining about this. Here is a site, and I'll put this on screen for you guys. There is a site that is a moving service in Montreal, and they do very well in SERPs without following any of Google's best practices. As you can see, they only got like 4 or 5 pages. They've got next to no content, and they're doing very well. And there's a secret to this, which I'm not going to get into for this video, but they're doing very well because they're not following Google's best practices. And so there's a difference between SEO best practices and Google's best practices. Usually I try to align them, but as of late, Google has deviated by a lot from what they ask people to do and they ask webmasters to do to what really they should be doing, by just focusing on creating a sustainable website for the business that brings in or achieves their business's goals. So if your business's goal is just a moving service, you shouldn't have to write a dozen blogs a week and interlink them to your homepage or your service pages and do lots of service page content or landing page content or city page content just to rank. But that is what Google wants you to do. Obviously, a lot of people are doing it, and so it would stand to reason that you have to do it. But there are black hat methods that you can use that don't follow a single thing that Google says and still rank a site. The problem with these methods is if you use them, you're just an update away from being hit by Google. And I see a lot of these websites appear, do very well for the next 6 months, and then they disappear. And so it's good to invest in good SEO, but also bear in mind that Search Liaisons and Danny Sullivan don't always offer good advice. And so you could end up spinning your wheels on your website for the next few weeks just trying to follow that advice, when in fact it will have little to no effect on your rankings. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this type of advice, and if your website has been dropping in and out of rankings or in and out of search results, and if you have found a solution to this. Like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you in the next video.